Before we get into today's video, check out the top line of the description and you can download the OneFootball app. The OneFootball app will let you know everything that you need to before the derby match this weekend between Celtic and Rangers at Ibrox, a game which could determine what happens come the end of the season. If you want to know stats, news, figures, league table standings, anything at all, you'll find it in that one place. So the top line of the description, use that link and you're helping both me and the sponsors out. But anyway, into the video.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, the Celtic squad, there's no doubt the quality is there to beat Rangers in a one-off game. It absolutely is. The most telling thing is, everyone always says form goes out the window in these games, and to a certain extent I agree with that, because we've seen it in recent years where Celtic have been, flying every week, winning, and Rangers, who have maybe been sort of, 6, 7, 8, 10 points behind, have looked a much better team on the day. So we know that Celtic and Rangers are both capable of winning this game. My biggest worry for Celtic isn't how the league's going in terms of form and points. It's looking at the last 5 Old Firm games, and the difference in quality on the day has seemed huge in favour of Rangers. That is the most worrying thing from a Celtic point of view. What are they going to do differently to stop Rangers? Because Rangers will do the same.
Here's the big difference straight away, and we've already touched in this episode, and obviously I'll let Div come into the discussion after I make this point.
I'm going to cut him off as well.
So, no, well, I'm not going to cut anybody off.
You get pelters in the comments for that, Midfield.
I know.
Just trying to finish my point.
Right, well, finish your point off.
If it's gone now, so it's fucked. So
you were saying about how
Rangers will do the same thing as they've done in the last 5 Old Firm games. Not an awful lot will change.
Right,
here's
it's just because I have a point that I really need to make in terms
Welcome
of
to the Celtic the Thunder.
This better be a bell to their point.
No, right, so in the opinion of myself, and I think a lot of people would agree, in terms of Rangers have been so much better than Celtic all over.
You got to say Celtic have been bad?
No, Celtic have been rotten against Rangers, absolutely rotten. Apart from the last time we played well against you was the game that you went in expecting to win.
They were nice at when I played my
first Old Firm of the season last year.
Yeah, that was the last time Celtic played good. So, right, the difference between Celtic and Rangers over the past few Old Firm games has been, for me, the middle of the park, where it has been. Rangers have walked all over it. Like, walked all over is an understatement. You've shat all over us. That, to be quite honest. Jack, Arfield, Davis, Aribo, Kamara, all these players who can play in the middle of the park, Hadji, all these players have made a fool of Celtic. Yep. So the big difference now
Hadji's not played in an Old Firm actually.
So. Is he not actually? No, well, okay. Right, well. Oh, that's right, because we have the game got postponed. Yeah. So, but the big difference now is this is a completely different midfield that could be heading into this game. If you're looking at Sorrell, Turnbull, McGregor, this free, is it a free that can play better against this Rangers team? I don't want to get ahead of myself and say, that's going to change it completely. But for me, from the signs that we've seen between Turnbull and Sorrell and the kind of positives they bring to the game are far more suited for this match against Rangers than what we've seen with Scott Brown, who simply can't keep up.
This is why I asked earlier on, is Sorrell got legs?
Aye.
Because I think Rangers have dominated in the midfield in the last 5 or 6 Old Firms, and they do that through their legs for the most part. Stephen Davis has got that bit of quality on the ball, and even Ryan Jack.
Aye.
My only concern going into the Old Firm, to be quite honest, is could they potentially get overrun in the middle of the park?
Aye.
I'm quite competent in Glenn Kamara and Stephen Davis being able to handle it.
As you would be.
And I'm competent in Joe Aribo's ability. But when it comes to legs, he's going to need to put in a massive performance if he starts in the midfield free. Because Rangers, I think he'll be a big miss, but it's whether Aribo can step up to the mark and he can do a job that he does. And he might bring out something different to the game, impacts the game even better than what Scott Arfield can do. Because his ability is brilliant. Getting into in the first 5 games or so, I think Aribo was one of the top men for Rangers. He goes out through injury. Nobody was probably expecting Scott Arfield to come in and do how well he's been doing, and it's only really new that Aribo's coming back into the team and he's doing well. So I think the midfield battle is going to be really interesting. I think it'll be interesting in the shape, because you're talking about a diamond, so that would mean it's a 4 against 3 potentially with an overload in the midfield. But yeah, that's my only concern, really getting into it.
You look at,
but I'm still quite confident in the midfield.
You look at Scott Brown in these Old Firm games. For me, he's became far too caught up in the mindset of, let me just battle Morelos, let me battle Arfield. These players who are very passionate. And Scott Brown himself matches that pass. He came so caught up in that. Sorrell goes into this game playing for the first time. If Sorrell goes out and does what Sorrell,
you're assuming Sorrell's going to play.
No, that was going to be my next point. I was going to say we could be having this whole conversation and Lennon can go there.
I think he's going to play.
Let's talk for it. Like before yesterday, I would have said Brown will start easily, but the performance that Sorrell put in yesterday made me think, how can Neil Lennon sit here and justify putting Brown back on the park for this game when it's the biggest game of the season?
I think Sorrell's got to start 100%.
He's got to.
For all that Scott Brown's done in his career at Celtic.
No time for sentiment.
Sorrell's came in.
It wasn't the cup final though.
In the first four, it was, to be fair, it was.
But
this is a whole different kettle of fish. He came in for one game. I think he played good for the first 45 and maybe overran the second half. Am I right in saying that?
I would say first half he was
good, and then the second. So I think Sorrell will start. I think it's a no-brainer to be quite fair.
Because the point that you're making there, you've got to look at it from this point of view.
Oh, could they go
from the manager?
Could they change the shape again? I don't know.
But you look at it from the point of view of the manager, right? And you say of course done against Hearts, and that was such a big game. The difference, I think, being now that you look at one side who is, in Neil Lennon's point of view, maybe looking at it as one's a championship side, one is Rangers, and Rangers are flying.
It's a bit harsh on Hearts.
It's not. I'm not wanting, because I don't want to take away anything from Hearts and the fact that they are still a Premiership squad. That squad is probably better than half of the teams in the league.
It's a top 6 squad.
Yeah.
For me.
But like the way that he's got to look at it and knowing now is this is a completely different kettle of fish. This is Rangers are miles beyond Celtic in terms of how they're playing at the minute. So why would they sacrifice the way that we have been playing well to go back to a system which seen us win 2 in 12 games?
So just to use your own point against you, Sorrell's done really well against a lot of lesser teams when Celtic have had all the ball.
Fantastic against Lille.
Still, but Lille at home in a dead rubber is a completely different kettle of fish to going to Ibrox. It is, of course.
So this is the biggest game for him.
I watched Celtic last night. Their midfield has improved tenfold, by the way. In the games that I've seen, I didn't watch them last night though, and still feel confident that they'll be able to cope with Rangers midfield. The fact that Arfield's missing, I think, helps Celtic a little bit, because I think Aribo
is a different style of player.
Exactly. Where Arfield's a lot more physical. He'll just run and run and run. Aribo's a bit more technical, likes to get in the ball.
His feet is fantastic.
So
fantastic feet.
I think also if you play Aribo, it's a much more attacking decision for me, especially if you've got Roof, Kent and Morelos ahead. You've got 4 natural attackers plus your fullbacks who are all just attack basically. So that might give Celtic a bit of hope, but I haven't seen enough yet that makes me think they're going to cope with it. I think, listen, they could absolutely surprise us in the shape. If they go the narrow diamond, will help them in the midfield battle. That's what I think. That I know we said the midfield is the most popular area, but if Celtic go narrow in the middle, the issue comes with how does
that's exactly what I was going to say. If Celtic go with the diamond in the middle and they try and make it physical and stuff and go through the middle,
game this.
So here's the
Rangers will go out wide to Tav and to Barisic, who've actually probably been starved in the last 3 or 4 games. A lot of the stuff has been through the middle, and I think that's why the managers brought guys in like Hadji, and Hadji's had more success in that sort of style, because a lot's more's going through the middle and we intricacies and we small spaces, we passes through and stuff like that. So if Celtic try and make it go through the middle, Rangers could go up the wings. And how do you stop that? Because that'll be an overload for Rangers as well, won't it? If they go with a 4, Rangers will have a 2-on-1 on your left back and your right back.
So the point I want to make was coming on to set pieces, crossing. For me, this is a game that, of course, I want to be slightly optimistic in my views and say that, of course, Celtic can challenge and Celtic can do this. This is a game where if you give Tavernier the ball, whether it be a dead ball scenario or you let him get down that wing in the way that you're talking about there, Rangers could easily score 3, 4, 5 goals with how good.
My God.
Mate, honestly, I've been saying it for the last month. The way that we have been defending set pieces against the likes of Ross County, St Johnstone, all these lesser teams, you give the ball to a player of the quality of Tavernier, allow him to swing these balls in. Whether it's Goldson who meets it, Morelos who meets it, anybody else, and especially now with Julian looking like it could be ruled out the fixture, it could be an absolute disaster for Celtic. Defensively, we have definitely improved the last 3 games. Of course, 3 clean sheets in the bounce now. Nice to see. I'm happy with that. But it's just a dangerous scenario to get yourself in.
Would that be right in saying that Celtic have changed to man to man?
Well, because
yesterday when I watched the highlights of the Dundee United game, it looked like they were man-to-man,
certainly through the
which
middle.
could impact it, because obviously don't know what they were doing in the first Old Firm, but it was zonal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Goldson just wanders in by himself, puts it in the back of the net.
I like is the
a lot of top teams do it.
A lot of top teams know, but I love what Liverpool do is they combine the two, so they'll put like a midget on a big guy as he's running in to block the run, and then leave like Van Dijk and Matip say free to attack the ball. So that's cool. But the man to man I think has to happen, because Goldson wasn't getting picked up, and at least with man to man you know who's responsible. So
exactly.
But just because I put the point out there about the fullbacks and how that could maybe hinder Celtic, to flip that in a way that the tactical thing is fascinating that could help Celtic is they play 2 up top, so you've got Griffin and Edward pushing Rangers centre halves back Does that then mean the fullbacks need to tuck in and help?
I think.
Does that mean Davis needs to drop back and help? Kamara? Because they're not going to leave them 2 for 2. So it's fascinating, this tactical battle, how it'll work. So it's an option.
I think you're spot on there, mate, to be fair. Rangers are quite comfortable, and you'll see it a lot when you watch Rangers against other teams, to just let it become like a one-on-one. You've seen it against Hibs. The ball got hit up to Boyle numerous times, Nisbet numerous times, and he was one-on-one with one of your centre-halves. I don't think they'll do that with Griffiths and Edwards, so I think somebody will drop in, or I don't know, one of the fullbacks will maybe stay deep. So it's fascinating, mate, to see how it happens. First 15 minutes I think will be telling.
Right, so here's the big question to you that I think so as well. I think the opening, you're looking at it, even the opening half hour of that game for me could, make or break what happens within the game.
See, it's able to Celtic need to keep the ball for a prolonged period of time in the game, because they haven't done that in Old Firm for ages.
Here's the big question I want to ask you, Div. So a lot of people, and this isn't, before anybody tries to say this is my point of view, I'm going for the general kind of the kind of look at from the kind of big picture sort of thing, right? A lot of people are saying that over the last few years Rangers haven't been the best at dealing with pressure, and of course we may have seen a little snippet of that with the situation in the League Cup. They were favourites to win the Cup, and St Mirren go and end up knocking them out. But the question is to you, with Celtic being in the position now that this game is basically the be-all, end-all, the pressure is still firmly on Celtic. We need to win, the pressure's massively on them. Is there a danger, and how do you combat that danger of Rangers going into this game perhaps maybe a little bit, not overconfident, but a bit too, I don't know how quite to word it. You know what I'm getting to here. They're going into the game with such a
I think they would be
favourites.
I think they would be absolutely stupid to go into the game and underestimate Celtic. And I think every single thing that the manager said this season and what you're seeing for the players has indicated that they won't do that. So I'm confident they'll go into the game, they'll give Celtic respect. And they might flip it. They might try and turn, everybody's saying Rangers are the favourites, might just try and turn that Celtic to a certain respect, if you know what I mean. Try and not let the pressure of the occasion of the game and the importance get to them. I think in the first Old Firm, first 15 minutes, Rangers look brilliant. They get the goal, and then maybe in another Old Firm they maybe keep going at them, but they were quite comfortable. They just sat, they let Duffy pass it side to side. They let Celtic have the ball, and you're going in at half time at 1-0 thinking to yourself, Rangers should have went for them there, and they should have maybe get 2, maybe get 3 goals. Then they go, it just looks really measured for this team this season. It looks comfortable. They might adapt that, they might do that in the Old Firm, or they might just go for the jugular, they might just go Joe 90. I don't know. Obviously from a fan's point of view, I want Rangers to go out there and batter Celtic. I want them to, but the win's the most important thing. Do you know what I mean? And if to touch on your pressure point, if Celtic go to Ibrox and they win, that'll be a big question on the bottle, because they're still comfortable. If Celtic win all their games in hand, they'll still be 4 points clear. I believe
they've had a lot of tests, but this could ultimately be Gerrard's biggest test yet, as to where you're saying the bottle is at.
I don't think it's his biggest test, but I think it's his biggest game.
I was actually going to make a point there, and I can't mind what. It's just
I'll take over.
On you go.
Just so we're talking about pressure there for Rangers. I take your point about how they've in previous times they've kind of crumbled under pressure, but for me it's not been the pressure of big games that they've crumbled under. It's the pressure of consistently winning week in and week out when you're expected to win. So it's games like we saw it last season. Drop points to Kelly, drop points to Hamilton, Hearts.
Do you not think
games we're always better in the bigger?
I think they've got a big game mentality. So they've got that big game mentality. I think this game is a great metaphor for the story of the season so far. Was everyone going into this game is talking about what will Celtic do? How can they stop Rangers doing what they've done in Old Firm games? Whereas for Rangers, nobody's talking about them. Nobody cares about Gerrard's interviews just now, which is just perfect, and it's been perfect for them so far this season. And you're right, the pressure is all on Celtic yet again, which makes it easy for Rangers to go out, implement their game plan. They've got such trust in that system, especially in this game. They know exactly how to beat Celtic.
So the point I was going to make, and it touches nicely on what you're saying. For the last week, I've been saying this, and I don't have a nice feel of the old Clint Hill game about this. Like we went into that game, of course, we were off the back.
Being flipped.
Because we went into that game, obviously, we battled just 5-1 in the September, and then. It was a following season. It was a following season, I'm sure. But we battled these anyway, and we were going into the game, and everybody was talking about how the Rangers do this, how the Rangers do that, and Celtic were firm favourites to win. It was a Parkhead as well, of course. We're up 1-0 quite early on in the game. You're thinking, here they go, same old story again. Doing nothing for the next kind of 60 minutes or something, and then Van Clint Hill steps up in the 90th minute, basically.
My favourite one's like
Shane Duffy.
My favourite part about that game is the lassie behind the goals.
That's right.
She's just giving them it stinking. I love that.
But like, there's that sort of feel about it, and of course, a draw does nothing for Celtic, nothing at all. I think even with a draw, I would think the league's over. But
how do you think that Celtic beat Rangers? Is it out wide, balls out of the box, or is it through the middle?
No, it's through the middle. It's absolutely through the middle. Look, the key for me is simple in this game. The big difference for me is simple in this game, and it could genuinely be David Turnbull. I think David Turnbull, his reading of the game, his vision, everything is spot on. Like yesterday, there was a wee snippet of the game, and I know we're playing Dundee United, who are quite a stretch off Rangers. There was one moment in the game, and he's got two men in front of him. He's got the ball at his feet. And you might have seen it in the highlights. I'm sure. It just flicks it here, and it's nobody does that. You know, if Griffiths picks a corner, that's a goal. He hits it right at the keeper, then Edouard misses the rebound as well. That shouldn't be a goal. But moments like that are the difference between what we have seen over the last. Turnbull has changed so much.
So will it take a big time moment, or will Celtic dominate the match?
I don't see any team in particular dominating this game. I think this is going to be a far more back and forth encounter than what we've seen before. I think that especially with Celtic setting up with a diamond, I think that we're going to see a lot of. I think you're going to see Rangers perhaps bombing the wings as we spoke about, try and do something. Celtic go right up through them, try and get Griffiths Edouard involved, try and get them linked up, and we have it. I'm not going to say it's going to be back and forth for 90 minutes of the game, like bang, 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 bang. But I think we're going to see a game.
A lot more of a normal Old Firm game.
Yeah. I don't think it's.
I think it's simple for Celtic. They need to attack. Celtic need to attack.
But then, if they attack, do we leave ourselves prone to these defensive mishaps?
You're going to be prone to defensive mishaps no matter what you do in this game. Celtic have tried in so many Old Firm games recently to hit Rangers in the counter, and they can't do it.
I don't want to see. This is the thing. Celtic's problem in the last Old Firm was what you brought up a moment ago with Duffy. Give the ball to Duffy, pass it. We'll do this, that. Of course. So in terms of that, yes, attack seems like a better option. But at the same time, how prone does it leave our sort of back line to getting too lackadaisical with it? And then Rangers have that midfield three.
That's why Julian's a big miss, because if you're going to play on the front foot, you can have Julian on a halfway line and he's got the pace to track.
So apparently what's been said, there's swelling round the knee and he's getting.
That's never a good start
today. To see if he can
maybe soft tissue damage or something.
After the game, Lennon seemed pretty confident that he
might go on with an injection, he might get through. But that's the thing. If you play Julian in the halfway line, he's got the pace to cover. The best way, you're talking about how do you stop Celtic Rangers fullbacks, the best way to stop them, I think the only way you can do it is by pinning them back the way. It's the only way you can do it, and that's why I think playing two up top will help Celtic. If Celtic try and sit back and play in the counter, they'll get beat, because Rangers are so good at pinning Celtic in that they just won't get out. You see how many times you'll see Celtic play a ball up maybe to someone in the channel and Goldson will win a header and Rangers are straight back on you. They need to go for an attack and pin Rangers back, because Rangers have had it too easy in Old Firm games in terms of, you said the last one 2-0, they just I'll do it.
It's comfortable.
There's just they need to make it difficult for them, and that starts what you said in the opening 5-10 minutes is crucial, because they've got to make their intentions clear in terms of going forward. And Turnbull, I think the point you were making is he's great at taking the ball under pressure, and in an Old Firm game you don't have time on the ball. So somebody who's comfortable and got that bit of quality, you're right, could be the difference, but they need to go for it.
I'm right. I'm joking, right?
I actually disagree. I think it's down the wings that you need to try. As you said,
not at all.
I think that's how you'll penetrate your defence.
Because
I think we'll be too solid to go through the middle. Might come back to bite me in the arse, but pretty much every goal Rangers have conceded this season is for crosses into the back post and stuff like that. It's no through the middle play.
Doing the wings, the thing is, right, so on the left hand side,
you might not have the quality, but that's just what I mean. I think that's the system that's best to
shoot. But the thing is with Frimpong, right, Frimpong has started coming out in this bit of his game that he likes to take the ball down to the byline. I'm a big fan of it. I don't think that Barisic is going to allow him to get to the byline as easily as some other players do. And then when he doesn't get to the byline, his final product is absolutely gash. So I don't see the wings being. I'm not saying exclude them from play altogether. When we can use that to our advantage, do it. But I think if we went solely for goals through that sort of play, I don't think they're going to come as easy. And I think that's been the issue with Celtic in the last couple of Old Firm games. We've relied heavily on getting balls in the box. And Greg Taylor, well, he didn't. Obviously, it was Laxalt that played his first ever game, the last one. But you look at players like Taylor, Laxalt and Frimpong and maybe Abdel Ahmed, their crosses haven't been connected.
The end product from Celtic's fullbacks is just simply not good enough, and you need to play this game. You need to play to your strengths, and their strengths are getting it to Turnbull's feet, Christie's feet, Edouard's feet, Griffith's feet, get the ball moving quickly, and just do to Rangers what Rangers have done to them, and that's I think the best way they're gonna.
I just think.